You're every... What a poster. You look great in it. Yeah, there you go.
I guess I should use this. That's the fun thing about doing these, is seeing you all, looking in your eyes and feeling your energy. Makes it all seem like maybe it wasn't all worthless after all.
Still, I mean, we're going to get into so many things. I've been so excited for the opportunity to talk to you about absolutely everything. But per usual, I always want to know, how did this whole thing start for you? Was the idea always like, oh, gotta be an actor? Want to do it so bad?
I actually started in music. I studied piano from the age of 4. My first piano teacher had to teach me the alphabet so she could teach me the keys on the piano. And then I studied concert organ. I went to Indiana University in Bloomington on a voice performance scholarship in the opera theater department. And then I got bitten, of course, by the theater bug, and I transferred to theater department with a minor in music, and then I'm looking to see if there are any kids, because they need to ignore the next thing that I'm about to say. I dropped out and moved. I stayed at school, kids, and moved to New York to begin my career in like 1977.
This is something that has come up a couple times this weekend I started off in theater and then the domino effect happened, right? Knocked one thing down and it kind of kept going. Do you think that starting in theater benefited like your TV and your film career later? Did that really set you up for success, or was that a totally different world for you?
Before that, I started in waiting tables.
There you go. Classic.
It's the most terrifying job I've ever had. You know, I still have nightmares where all the food's coming up in the kitchen, and I don't remember what tables it goes to, right? I don't have theater nightmares, I have waiter nightmares. Most terrifying job. I've been done Broadway, I have thousands of, no, waiting tables. Because I don't have that kind of mind.
Yes, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my God, that cappuccino, you really want me to make a cappuccino right now? You know, that kind of thing. But I was glad that I went to New York first, and I did off-Broadway and off-Broadway and off-way under Broadway. And then, you know, got my first, did industrial films and commercials, and then I was in Showtime. First movie for television. I'm a relic. It was called first of all, let me qualify, it was the best of off-Broadway season. They did 3 projects, Me and My Girl, The Passion of Dracula, and The Dirtiest Show in Town. My grandmother wanted to know why, of the 3, I had to be in The Dirtiest Show in Town. Yes, Emma Bryant, Norfolk, Virginia. May she rest in peace. But yeah, that, and then the following month after that aired, I got Kelly Nelson on Guiding Light, January of 19. Yay, I love my lighters. Hello. I promise I don't have a Speedo on under this. I ran around wearing a Speedo and singing You Needed Me for 4 years. Everybody's got to start somewhere, right? But yeah, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And that was the beginning of me not having to do anything else other than act. Thank you, God. Very fortunate. I'm mindful of my good fortune. There are a lot of people I started out with who were better looking than me, who worked just as hard as I did, and the breaks just didn't come at the right time. So I am mindful every day of my good fortune.
What is so special about Barry Allen that still, years later, we're never going to stop loving Barry?
Right. And I want to hear from, when you guys get up to the mic, I want to hear about that, because I'm always interested. What I discover about what draws people specifically to the Flash. He's not a bad, you-know-what. He's not a tough guy. He's not Batman. He's not a vigilante. He's just a really good guy who's trying to do the right thing with the extraordinary powers that he's been given. And we all have our own powers. You know, there's a trap, may I say, in superhero entertainment. And that is waiting for the deus ex machina, as we say in theater, or the superpower, the superhero to come down and save us. We're all superheroes in our own lives and our own communities, and we all have superpowers. A teacher once called it, we all have a vein of gold. And that's the thing we do, that if we were not here, it would not come into the world. And that your life journey, I'm gonna pick on you again, is discovering what your vein of gold is, and then being of service to the world. But the thing about Barry is, I always say, his heart is always in the right place, and bless his heart, his head is just trying to catch up. Right? And that was so interesting about when I, came in to play the father of Barry Allen. And I got to view the character from a whole different position. And I'm looking at Grant's Barry and I'm going, bless your heart. I know where you're at, man. You're assuming this iconic role, what some of your hopes and dreams might be, because I've been there. And insecurities. And our homework was done for us. He knew I'd been the Flash. I knew he was taking on a huge role. I absolutely love the guy, his work is truthful, and participating in that transition. I'm thinking of the prison scene, hands to the glass. As a father's son, and everything we went through first season. I don't know how I got off on that. I'm co-opting this whole Q&A.
We love it! A lot of times that we love these characters because they are so unbelievably fantastical, but they are superhuman, so they're still human. Like, how can you connect to somebody like Barry? How can we connect to that?
I was very hesitant, and I'm going to try not to chase rabbits and forget your question.
You're so good.
But I was very hesitant to play a superhero in 1990 because they've been spoofed up to that point. The people inside the costumes were not necessarily taken seriously. I had my 2 Emmys, I had been on Broadway, I fancied myself perhaps delusionally a serious actor, and A-list actors were not, I was not A-list, I'm not saying that, but A-list actors were not lining up in 1990 to put on a superhero suit, right? Everyone was very leery, speaking of another character I played, of doing that in those days. But I read April Webster, multiple Emmy Award-winning casting director for the original show. Fantastic. We had Angela Bassett, we had Bryan Cranston, we had Jerry Ryan, we had David Cassidy, we had Michael Champion, we had the great Mark Hamill, all our guest stars. But she said, read the script, and I found out about the unblessed son of a cop family where real cops worked the streets. But Barry had gone into the crime lab so that his mother wouldn't be worried that all of her men might not come home that night. His dad's always saying, she'd say, be careful. The dad would say, what's he gonna do? Stub his toe on a footprint? She'd go, Henry! The great Emmett Walsh, who played my father. But Barry was fine and loved his brother, who was the street cop, who was the dad's favorite and everything. He had made his peace, but suddenly he gets these powers. And the thing that hooked me was, he didn't go, I'm gonna go be superhero. Hugh Hollywood superhero. He's like, I don't wanna know from this. I'd made peace. I was CSI before CSI was cool. I had peace with my lot. I don't want to know from this, I want to be rid of him. And Tina McGee, you're going to help me do that until my brother is killed by a motorcycle gang. And man, then it's on. I have a brother that I'm very close with. And I hooked right in, and suddenly holding Tim Thomerson by the side of the road and letting out that yell and deciding to go after the gang. I was like, I get it. I can play all of that. And then when we're standing by my brother's graveside with Emmett, I think I won Emmett Walsh's respect in the scene where we're standing by Jay's grave. And I'm saying, Dad, I'm gonna get those guys. He's like, Barry, haven't I told you not to point a gun unless you have a bullet in the chamber? And I say to him, I've got the bullet. And I can't tell him what it is. He would be so proud of it. I can't tell him. Well, by then, I'm like, I'm on board. I'm on board because I always felt my job was to play Barry Allen. My job was to get you guys to identify with Barry Allen enough so that when I went into the suit, you came with me. And then we're all looking at the world from inside the suit, from that perspective. Flash.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something about this particular scene. When I finally did show up as Flash 90, Grant was pissed because Steven was in the Flash suit. He says, I can't believe it, John's finally wearing his iconic Flash suit, and I'm standing here in the Arrow suit. He was serious. I thought it was so cute.
Absolutely perfect, John. We'll get that totally Umbler for you. It is correct. That's a CW Flash. And you remember? Do you still have a super clear memory of showing up on that day? Because I can't remember yesterday. So.
Well, when I first showed up in Elseworlds, of course I'm thinking, this was 28 years ago. Are they out of their minds? But we worked with it and worked with it, and they strapped me in, and they pulled me up, and they puffed me out, and I think we got away with it, you know. But I'm thinking, how is this cast going to react? My show was, at that point, 25, 26 years ago. You know, this is their show. And my first appearance was with everybody. Supergirl, I say, John, what happened to your ring? To David Ramsey. Everybody is there, and I walk in, and I'm like, how are they going to react? Is this going to be, am I going to vomit? And I walked on set, and they started applauding, and Grant said, this is the coolest thing we've ever done. And I was like, but then y'all just embraced the fact that, you know, I was like, first of all, I said, we're not going to pretend this is 28 years ago, right? We're going to know that these 28 years have passed. They said, oh, yeah. We're not going to ask you to be, you know, 30, whatever I was, you know. I said, okay, all right, well, if you think we can pull it off, let's do it. But I'll tell you, every time, even Jay, and let me tell you about the Flash cast. I'm very nervous, showing up in a superhero suit for the first time in 25, 26 years. I walk on as Jay, I come out of the Iron Mask, I put on the helmet, I'm standing there in front of the whole group looking at me like I had two heads because I'm Henry's doppelganger. And so I'm standing there with my little helmet, you know, I'm standing in front of the new Flash cast, the It Kids, and the same thing happened, and the crew. And I look over here, and there's Candace going. And I look over here, and Grant, bless his heart, he pulls the camera up and turns the monitor around so I can see myself. And he said, look at you, this is fantastic. I tell you that to tell you what it was like working with this young cast of fine actors and fine people, particularly those first couple of seasons.
What movie or TV character are you most like?
Not Teen Wolf. I'm nothing like Patrick Leahy. Mr. Leahy. What character am I most like? I try to bring myself to every character I play. I like to think I'm more like Kelly Nelson than Douglas Cummings, that I'm more like Mitch Leary than, I'm a little bit smarter than Mitch, okay? Mitch, bless his heart, really loving dad, not the brightest bulb in the tree. But I would hope that I would be like Henry. And I have to go here. Henry Allen had amazing parenting skills. At one point, he knows Barry is the Flash. He's in the hospital. He's been gutted in the infirmary at the hospital, right? He's been working with Joe. Barry's by his side. The Flash is on, and I'm going, yeah, Flash showed up just in time to save Joe. Lucky Joe. And it says, I showed up just in time to save me. I guess I'm lucky too. He gets what I'm saying. He says, Dad, if I was the Flash, don't you think I would tell you? Watch what Henry does here. He doesn't pull his covers. He doesn't bust him. He realizes he's not ready to tell him. He says, yeah, but I'll tell you one thing. If the Flash was my son, I'd want him to know a couple things. I want him to know that he's a hero and he's saving a lot of lives, that it's a dangerous world, so be careful. But most of all, I would want him to know that his father's proud of him. And I was like, that's wonderful parenting, as well as a beautiful scene. Later in the episode, he decides he's going to tell me. I tell you, Grant turned into a 12-year-old right in front of me. He's dug in his head. Watch him, go back and watch it. He pulls the cow back and he's looking at me like, yeah, Dad, it's me. And Henry says, well, you always did look good in red.
My friends, I apologize, but what a beautiful button to end on. Can we please give it up one more time for John Wesley Shipp?